Hello everyone, welcome to another video from VHS Studios. I am Vinod GS. Today we are going to do a hands-on review on the long-awaited Canon EOS R1. Many photographers were eagerly looking for this camera, especially the Canon shooters. This would be a long video as we go through most of the aspects of this camera, our experience and our thoughts. Hence, please watch this video till the end to see the whole story. Our test camera is running on firmware version 0.6.0. So things can change on future firmware updates. When it comes to the sensor of this camera, it has got a newly developed 24.2 megapixel full frame BSI stacked CMOS sensor. This sensor is the fastest sensor in any Canon camera till date with a readout speed of 2.8 milliseconds. This is like twice the speed of Canon R3, which was around 4.8 milliseconds. You can be rest assured that there will be no noticeable rolling shutter effect. This fast readout almost compensates for the lack of a global shutter, at least in terms of rolling shutter effect. On the contrary, the maximum frame rate is capped at 40 frames per second in stills mode, and this sensor has got amazing low light capability and very good dynamic range. ISO range of this sensor in stills mode starts from 100 ISO to 102,400 ISO, and in extended mode the ISO starts from ISO 50 and there are two upper limits. One is called H1, which is at 204,800, and there is one more limit named H2, which is like 409,600 ISO. When it comes to the processors in this camera, EOS R1 uses Canon's Digic X processor along with the new Digic Accelerator coprocessor. Canon says that this coprocessor is the key to this camera's improved autofocus features, especially those AI features derived from the machine learning. By consolidating all these advanced chips and algorithms, this camera can predict what a subject would be doing in the next moment. R1 has got the latest dual-pixel autofocusing system from Canon. Another highlight of this AI system is that it is having 100% coverage, that too with cross-type sensors. The benefit of cross-type sensor is that these type of sensors are sensitive to both vertical and horizontal lines and contrast variations. In a normal type AF sensor points, if it is in a horizontal plane, it will be having difficulties with the horizontal lines. Same goes with the AF points which are in the vertical orientation. It would be having difficulties in identifying the vertical lines. So when it comes to the cross-type sensors, it can be equally sensitive to vertical and horizontal lines, thereby achieving a better autofocusing system in most of the scenarios. In automatic selection mode, it has got 1053 AF areas in stills and 975 AF areas in movie mode. But in manual selection, it has got 4368 AF points in stills and 3354 AF points in movies. The sensitivity of this AF system ranges from minus 7.5 EV to plus 21 EV. This value is measured at 23 degrees Celsius and at 100 ISO. When it comes to AF tracking in stills mode, it can detect humans, especially eyes, face, head, upper half of the body and the whole body. When it comes to animals, Canon says it can identify dogs, cats, birds and horses. And in vehicle mode, it can identify racing cars, motorbikes, airplanes and trains. There is also an option to give priority to the registered faces. Up to 10 faces can be registered in this camera, and with the help of the AI chip inside this camera, it can prioritize those faces. This would be helpful if you are trying to track a particular person in a group. The relative prioritization of registered faces can be changed simply by changing the order of the subjects in the menu. Another option is the action priority mode in which this camera is trained to track a subject, especially in certain games like football, basketball and volleyball. This mode uses machine learning technology to analyze and predict the most important subject based on the context of the scene. Canon decided not to remove the mechanical shutter, so this camera do have a mechanical shutter. In mechanical shutter, this camera shoots 12 frames per second, and in electronic shutter mode it shoots 40 frames per second, blackout free and in 14-bit. The shutter speed in mechanical shutter ranges from 30 seconds to 1/8000 of a second, and in electronic shutter mode it varies from 30 seconds to 1/64,000 of a second. In addition to this, it can shoot in bulb mode both in mechanical and electronic shutter. Another highlight is the pre-capture or pre-continuous shooting mode, in which R1 can capture still images or videos before even the shutter button is fully pressed. If it is shooting at 40 frames per second, you can capture half second, which means 20 frames prior to fully depressing the shutter will be captured in the camera. This can be done both in JPEG and RAW. In the movie mode, we can do a pre-capture of either 3 seconds or 5 seconds. In the EOS R1, they have added two new in-camera processing features. Those are neural network noise reduction and image upscaling. Neural network noise reduction is designed to improve image quality without sacrificing the details. This feature will work in RAW images only. In-camera image upscaling increases the size of the image by 2 times in both orientation, which means you can get a 96 megapixel image from the initial 24 megapixel. But the upscaling can only be performed on JPEG or HEIF images. There is also a new feature called Autofocus image detection. When this feature is activated, the R1 analyzes each photo it captures and tries to identify the ones which the primary subject is in focus, and the camera will put a tag on those. This tag can be read by the Canon's DPP software. Canon also says that in future, the third-party softwares can also read this tag and make the sorting of the images much easier. This option has to be enabled prior to shooting, and it cannot be enabled on already captured images. When it comes to the video, R1 exhibits great video performance. It can shoot 6K RAW footage at up to 60 frames per second. In 4K, it can shoot up to 120p. In 2K mode, it can shoot up to 240p, and in Full HD also, it can shoot up to 240p. Canon has added Canon C-Log 2, which was much awaited by most of the Canon users. This is in addition to the existing Canon C-Log 3. C-Log 2 is having a much higher dynamic range than C-Log 3. Another welcome addition in the R1 is that it has now got false color option, which gives direct visualization of the exposure in the display itself. But unfortunately, it doesn't have the waveform display which is available in R5 Mark II. R1 has got a tally lamp to show the user that it is recording. R1 can also handle digital audio inputs via the connectors in the multifunction hot show. R1 also has got a long GOP codecs, which can record more content in a given memory card compared to the other heavier codecs. R1 also supports dual recording to 2 memory cards, including proxy recording to 1 card. In movie mode, R1 can do eye and face detection and tracking for people and animals, and it can also detect vehicles. When it comes to the ISO in movie mode, in auto option, it starts from ISO 100 and the higher limit is 32,000 ISO. It has got an extended range of up to 204,800 ISO. In manual mode, ISO starts from ISO 100 to 32,000 and the extended higher limit goes up to 204,800. The maximum continuous shooting time in R1 is capped at 6 hours. The EOS R1 also offers a dual shooting mode, which means you can actually shoot photos while shooting the video. In that mode, video setting should be Full HD at 30p, and the JPEG which is recorded is like 17 megapixel only. And the maximum frame rate you can achieve is 10 frames per second for the photos. Since the shutter speed requirement for photos and the videos are generally different, you need to eventually prioritize one or the other. Even though Canon's menu system is one of the best in the market, they have even updated that existing menu system. Now they have given a new tab especially for the custom buttons. And another change what we observed in the menu system is that under autofocusing options, earlier models of camera has got multiple options to decide which sort of AF algorithm to be used. But in this case, they have given only auto and manual. In auto mode, it takes the help from the AI chip to analyze the scenario and choose the best algorithm for that particular shooting mode. And in the manual mode, you can tweak a few parameters. R1 is made up of magnesium alloy body with similar level of weather sealing like the 1DX Mark III. The texture on the body also seems to be better than the one in the R3. In the R3, it basically has some dot kind of structure which can gather dust and dirt in due course. But this design offers a more comfortable grip, and it seems to be less prone to accumulating dirt or dust. Weight of this body is approximately 920 gram, and with the memory card and battery installed, it can go up to 1115 grams. R1 offers 8 stops of image stabilization in the center region, and on the peripheral side it can offer up to 7.5 stops of image stabilization. R1 has got a smart controller similar to the one found in R3. In R3, it acts like an AF1 button and a trackpad for your thumb. By using the trackpad, you are able to change the autofocusing points. But when it comes to the implementation of this controller in R1, they have got 3 functions. So in addition to the trackpad function, you can assign 2 custom functions at half press and full press. When it comes to the electronic viewfinder, it is noticeably large in R1 even when compared to R3. It has got the next generation of eye tracking which was earlier found in Canon R3. The OLED EVF has a resolution of 9.44 million dots and has a size of 0.64 inches. The maximum refresh rate of this EVF is 120 frames per second, and this is one of the best EVF we have ever used. R1 has got a 3.2-inch fully articulating LCD display, the resolution of 2.1 million dots. It is a capacitive touchscreen with a full functionality, which means you can access almost all the functions of this camera with this touchscreen. When it comes to storage and connectivity, R1 has got 2 CF Express Type B slots, which can accept cards up to 2 TB on each slot. When it comes to the LAN port, it supports 2.5 gigabits LAN. Another long pending concern from Canon users has been addressed in this camera. It is about the HDMI port. All the previous generation mirrorless Canon cameras were having a micro HDMI port. Now that has been changed to a full-sized HDMI. It has also got a 3.2 Gen 2 USB-C port, which supports up to 10 Gbps of data transfer. R1 also has a flash sync port. As usual, it has got a 3.5mm mic jack for connecting external mic and 3.5mm headphone jack for real-time monitoring. Hot shoe in the R1 is a multifunction hot shoe. Canon has added a lock for the cover, which is actually a good thing because as in my R3, it always used to come off. But in this one, you need to really press the lock to remove it. When it comes to the Wi-Fi, it supports Wi-Fi 6 and MIMO, which uses part of the 6 GHz band in addition to the existing 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands. R1 uses the same LP-E19 battery as the EOS R3 and EOS 1DX Mark III. As per the CAPI rating, this battery can give you 700 shots in a single charge while shooting through the viewfinder and 1330 shots when using the LCD. This is almost like 60% increase when compared to R3. Canon provides a battery charger along with this camera, but this battery can also be charged via PD-E1 or PD-E2 power adapter from Canon or any power adapter or battery bank which supports equivalent PD charging. It is expected to have a price tag of $6,300. The R1 is mainly aimed at sports and action shooters. It is made for those shooters whose utmost goal is the speed. Even though R1 is a different series with respect to the earlier R3, it shares many common features, including the body structure and the design. The addition of AA chip and AA features are to be highly appreciated. It has really improved the autofocus detection and tracking of different subjects and scenarios. We are also happy to see that they have changed that HDMI port to full HDMI port, and they have incorporated 2 CF Express Type B cards in this camera. We would have been happier if they have put a higher megapixel sensor as it being the flagship. But as a maker, Canon would be having their own reasoning for choosing a 24 megapixel sensor in this camera, but it is to be highly appreciated that they have added cross type autofocusing system, actually, which covers 100% of the sensor area. Even with the earlier version of the dual pixel AF system in the earlier generation R3 and R5, those cameras really performed well when it comes to subject detection, autofocusing, acquisition, and tracking. So this cross-type autofocusing system has pushed that to the next level. We also appreciate that Canon didn't go for the global shutter. Instead, they have continued with the BSI stacked sensor with a much faster readout speed. This actually gives some of the benefits of the global shutter without sacrificing the low light performance. So this is all for this video. We hope you enjoyed this video. So till we meet next time, thank you and goodbye.